हेलो हेलो।
हाँ बोला सर।
हाँ,
Yes,
गुड
sir.
मॉर्निंग। गुड
गुड
मॉर्निंग।
मॉर्निंग सर।
गुड
Good
मॉर्निंग
morning,
टू
sir.
एवरी। As Patil sir has declared, today's session would be on business communication. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yes sir.
Yeah. Then we will start today's session. In the last month, we had two lectures on business communication. I think you now remember how we had been concerned with the unit number one. As you know, there are four units. Uh, there are four units, as you already acquainted with this syllabus, in which at the very outset we have completed unit number one. I just repeat once again the whole syllabus. The first one unit is entitled as meaning, importance, and objectives of business communication. Uh, B, written communication. This is the first one unit in which we have two sub-units, that is meaning, importance, and objectives of business communication and written communication. Unit number two, titled as application letter, and in B part we have report writing. So unit number two devoted to application letter and report writing. Unit number three, oral communication, and in D part you have meaning and importance of group discussion, interviews, and interview methods. And the last one unit titled as non-verbal expressions, and in part B, application of electronics media. So these are the four units in which in each unit you have two sub-units. Okay. Out of these four units, I have already completed unit number one in the last month by having two lectures in a detailed way. We have already discussed the meaning of the communication or meaning of the business communication, its importance, characteristics, definition, types, what is meant by written communication, its types, characteristics, advantages, and so and so. Things were already discussed by me along with you. I don't know how many of you people were being presented the 10 time when I was having my lectures on UP. Okay. So in today's session, I would like to complete unit number two, in which we will study application letter and report writing. Application letter and report writing. These are the two important sub-units in unit number two. So application letter means here we have two kinds of two types of application that we have already well acquainted with these letters, because since your fifth standard, I think you have been associated with letter writing. But in the context of MBA, Master of Business Administration, or in business administration, there may be a slight change in writing, the way in which we have had at standard or onwards, and the way in which we are now having, or we have to write business letters. So there may be a slight changes that we have to acquire here, that we have to learn here, whenever we try to write business letters. So in which part, as I told you people, that application letter, in today's session we will complete application letter and report writing. So application letter is also known as cover letter. In fact, there is no difference between application letter and cover letter, but only we have two titles, two names of letters, that is application and cover letter. In daily purpose, in day-to-day lives, we have a number of purposes. We have different purposes. For that, we try to write letters. So such letters may be a personal or professional, very well. So application letters are a written request for taking admission in school, colleges. It may be in job requirements or for job purpose, or for opening an account in bank, or for getting admission for internship, or seeking permission from any authority, or for getting visa for international traveling, or migration or immigration. So in this way, we have a different purposes, but we have to write letters in the context of business. That is in the business context. We have to write or place our skills, our language in order to achieve our own goal. So letter writing should be done or completed with the skills. That is very important. So here, an application letter is a summary of your strongest and most relevant skills and abilities that will be written in your resume. So resume is also a part of application letter, because you have to attach resume or a CV or a biodata along with the letters or a letter. So it is nothing. Application letter is nothing but a summary of your strongest and most relevant skills that you possess in your so far academic career. That should be written, or that should be visualized in your documents or in your letter. It should be just works. It should be just work as a mirror of your career, so far career, academic career especially. That should be mirrored through your letter. So that is why skills should be applied. The art should be application. Okay, I think now you might have got little bit information or idea regarding writing application letter. It is in fact easy one, simple one that you are already well acquainted with. The only difference that I just mentioned you people in that business, in the context of business, you have to write a letter. Okay. So let us turn what type of difference between cover letter or fiction letter has. Covering letter. Cover letter is a one-page document, not more than one or two, not more than one page document, but it should be restricted. It should be written in a concise way, and it should be covered only in one page. That is the sort of restriction that you have to possess skills to write or complete your application letter or cover page within a page, within one page. Okay. So cover letter is an one-page document that you need to submit as part of your job application along with your resume or curriculum that I just told you. Okay, along with your resume or curriculum or biodata, whatever the requirement is there, or whatever the work that the particular employer or particular MNCs or particular company is used in its advertisement, you have to follow it. Maybe resume, it may be curriculum, or it may be biodata. So along with the cover letter or application letter, you have to attach it. So you don't just repeat whatever is mentioned in your resume. By writing application letter or cover page, you don't repeat whatever you are going to write or included in your resume or biodata. So repetition should be avoided in writing a letter or application letter, so that it should introduce you in a brief way. Covering letter or covering page or your application letter introduce you To whom? To your employer, to your company authorities, or whoever may be there. So it is just like your introduction. It's just like your personal introduction to your would be company where you are going to serve in that company. Okay. So application or cover letter should include 250 to 400 words. That is a sort of ideal writing method or ideal way in which you have to only use your 250 or 400 words. Within that you have to complete your cover letter application. Okay. Then now we will see things to be considered whenever formatting a cover letter. In fact, it is not necessary to say or go in that in a deep way that how we have to write, which font should be used, which one. Is there a single space or double space, or what is the length of the line, margin, alignment, use of correct grammar, all these things you already well acquainted with these things, I think so. But just I remember once again repeat here the elements of the cover letter which are very important while writing, or while writing you have to consider in which way you have to write here. So the first one thing is here that ensure that your cover letter has your contact information and appropriate salutation. Should be appropriate salutation that you are going to refer, as well as you have to consider that the application letter is nothing but your contact information. The second one thing here, the important thing is that font. Which one font you have to use here, or should be used in your application letter or cover letter? The font that you use should be simple and professional one. Should be look like simple and professional one. Spacing line, single spacing is ideal one, or should be used in a cover letter or application letter. A length is also very important. The ideal cover letter would be a single page made up of 3 paragraphs. The one may be a beginning, second may be a middle, and the last one may be a closing or conclusion. In this way, you have cover your cover page or cover letter within 3 paragraphs, despite senders and receivers address and conclusion. Okay, so 3 paragraphs should be there. Margin and alignment, use your margins to ensure that the letter looks professional one. The margin should be lived or used so that your cover page should be a what look like a professional one. Use correct grammar. That is a requirement that one has to write cover page without making any grammatical mistake. So grammar should be free, should be a correct one. And then you have to mention some other specific thing that be specific, avoid gender statements. Should not make any general statement or include in your covering letter. It should be a perfect one, should be correct one, attaching your own career. So avoid informal writing, especially. Focus on what you can do for the employer and how you contribute to the organization. That is a very important statement, sentence you have to mention whenever you write your application or later. Which one thing should be focused on what would be your contribution in would be a company, because you are writing a letter to the employer, so that you have to mention your specific features or qualities or uh, efficacies that you possess in the context of profession, in the context of business. Anyway, now let us see on the format. In fact, I already introduced people when I was you having written writing. Anyway, once again, I would like to just introduce the format of application letter or cover page. The change is there in traditional way. As usual, we people write our address or the sender's address on the top of the right side of a page. But here, the little bit change is there in a new format. You are going to write sender's address in a left side on the top of the page. So that is the only change that is made in this book. So sender's information means your address, who, your name, your address, contact number, email, and so on, so and date should be there. Then you have to mention receiver's information, that is the receiver's address, again contact the name, his or her designation, address of the office or company or whatever it may be. And then as usual, we have to mention here subject and reference. That is important element in cover letter. And just we have had three paragraphs that should be included in your cover page or application letter. The first one paragraph would be focused on opening, would be focused on in your introduction. That is known as a opening paragraph. Then the second one would be a middle paragraph in which you are analyzing by giving a little bit information of your own career, sorry, academic qualification, and then a closing paragraph. You are closing in a positive way. Okay, and the last one is complementary close and signature. These are the 5, 6 elements that you have to consider. You have to keep in your mind whenever you write your application letter. We will see it later. One good example how to write application letter and so on. Okay. Then we have a second sub-element, that is biodata or resume or CV, that we call here a curriculum vitae. So biodata is a summary of candidates' identification. No, biodata is nothing but it is a summary of candidates' identification, qualification, and intended career path. So a biodata or resume can be defined as a written statement that includes a person's personal data, education, and employment background. Whether you are a fresher, whether you are fresh, sorry, a background fresher not required, in fact, that they have mentioned here. It is also known as curriculum vitae. Biodata is also known as a curriculum vitae, in which qualifications or qualification documents. It acts as an advertisement of a person's or candidate's qualifications and influences the potential employers to call the person to the interview. So after reading, after making a scrutiny on your biodata or CV, the employer may call you. Okay, so that is why biodata is very important document that you are going to attach with your cover letter or application letter. So let us see what are the elements or the required elements that we have to include in biodata. In fact, it is again the simple and easy one that you might have already acquainted, you might have already practiced so many times, or so many times you might have applied in different companies for a job purpose. So let us see only the elements which are required that we have to include in biodata. The first one element is that name. It is as usual, you should mention your name. The second one is age, date of birth, address for communication, phone number or mobile number, email, and then you have to mention your education qualification by making a table. That the systematic table should be there. You have to prepare a systematic table including serial number, year of passing, qualification, specialization of a subject, school, college, university, percentage or CGPA or whatever it may be, and any other relevant information. In this way, you just bifurcate or prepare your table and you mention your qualification from SSC to HSC, BA, whatever it may be, graduation, post graduation, master degree, or any doctoral degree, or any other qualification. So that the table should be prepared here in your biodata and you write here. Then another one important element that to know very well, that is a work experience. Or if you are in a teaching field, it should be a teaching experience in which you mentioned there where you served so far or now at present where you work. So name of the organization, designation, which designation you are working there, how many years you serve there or serving, job responsibilities, what are the job responsibilities that you are having there, salary, monthly payment should be also mentioned, and reason of living, why you are leaving the existing company. So in this way, you have to mention that you have to make column and write there work experience. So it must include major achievements in your work life, preferably in the last 2 3 years. Okay. Then strengths and weaknesses. In fact, it is not important element, but sometimes in MNC's companies they require or they demand such a column or such a table that you have to show your strengths and weaknesses. That we, in other words, we say SWOT analysis. SWOT, SWOT analysis. So in this way, you just prepare one table in which you show that what are your strengths and your weaknesses. Okay, by giving actual examples. Strengths means in which field, which part or area you have ability that you can prove, or you have a mastery for the particular field or section. Then you should also mention your weaknesses, and you say that you are trying your level best to improve your weaknesses. In this way, you should mention your strengths and weaknesses. So just, but while writing your strengths and weaknesses, you must aware that you have to show your ability to mention strengths, the area in which you work, and so on and so on. Then later, we have some other elements, that is personal details, hobbies, if you have any hobbies or interests. Marital status is also important for MNC companies. Language you know, it may be Marathi, Hindi, English, kind of how many languages you know or possess. And the last one element is signature. Okay, so these elements are covered or included in preparing, while preparing a biodata or CV, which would be covered or attached along with your cover letter or application letter. You just remember that you already know what are the elements, how to write, and so on, so things, because it is easy and simple one that you already studied. Now let us see. As we have had different purposes here, we write uh, different kinds of letters. Now let us see how to write interview call letter. Or before that, I would like to introduce you a job application letter. How to prepare job application letter in a theoretical way. You just remember that you are working in somewhere, you are already in serviceman, and recently you find in a newspaper that there is one good opportunity that is appropriate for your designation. So you would like to write your application or cover page to the particular company that you have that much interest. You would like to leave the present one company and you would like to join a new one company where you would like to have experiences, new experiences in that company. So after reading the newspaper, It is your duty to write or apply letter to the particular company where the opportunities are shown in the advertisement. So it is necessary to read carefully the advertisement, and then only you begin to write or apply a particular post or a designation. Okay, so let us see how to write application letter or a cover letter. As usual, you should write your address. I mean, a sender's address at the top of the page of left side or right side. It depends on you people which one side you are going to write. Both sides address is accepted. Maybe a right side, it may be a left side. So a sender's address should be mentioned or mentioned in a clear way. You are applicant, you mention, you write your own address. Then receiver's address or the company authority to whom you are writing the letter, job application letter should be mentioned. That and then these are the simple one, usual elements that you know very well. Let us see a subject. So, in which way you are writing your subject? Application for the post of HR. It should be a concise one. Subject should be a concise one instead of a precise one. To the point, simple words should be used in your subject. Okay. So, in which way you write your subject matter or subject? Application for the post of HR. This is the complete statement or sentence for your subject. Nothing else you are going to write here. You just follow the same statement, whatever I just mentioned here. That application for the post of assistant professor in English. Full stop. Application for the post of junior engineer. Stop. Application for the post of civil engineer. Application for the post of marketing manager, sales manager. In this way, you are writing in a brief way. Okay, you don't write any other words, any other analyze or any other words. You are not going to include in this element subject. Okay, then whenever you write application letter, a letter requires reference. Reference in that sense in which source you get the information or the advertisement. So if you read it from the newspaper, you should mention or you should refer the newspaper name, date, and so on and so. And if you have had advertisement from a website, it may be a company website, it may be a professional website, you just mention the name of the website and so on and so. So in which way you are going to write here, or it should be appropriate one, that reference should be just like your advertisement is published, your advertisement is published in Daily Times of India, dated is a complete one. Okay, your advertisement is published in Times of India, dated. In this way, you just complete your reference. You're not going to write any other information regarding reference. It should be a complete reference. In which one way you are writing here, your advertisement is published in Daily Times of India, dated. Is a complete reference that you are going to write in this way. After that, salutation. It is again the usual practice in which we generally use sir, dear sir, respected sir, and so on. So things are there that you just mentioned. One is appropriate one. If you are already acquainted, then you should mention the respected sir. You have to give respect. Otherwise, you just mention a sir, madam, respected sir, You should also use, if you like, a dear sir, dear madam, in this way. Okay. Then opening of the letter, opening paragraph, middle paragraph, and the closing paragraph. So at the very outset, in the opening paragraph, you have to mention, you have to open your application letter with showing a little bit interest in the particular company. So in which way you are opening or you are writing there, you just follow me. Uh, After writing a dear sir or respected sir or sir, you should mention with reference to the above mentioned subject and cited reference. How you are going to begin or write your opening paragraph with reference to the above mentioned subject and cited reference. I wish to apply for the post of civil engineer in your reputed company or reputed institution. Okay. So as per the designation, you have to mention your qualification, the required qualification, because you know very well that while reading, you come to know that you are appropriate, your designation is appropriate, your qualification is appropriate. That is why now your second sentence could be like, I have completed my B in civil engineering from government polytechnic, from government engineering college, Karad, with 75% in 2017. In this way, to the point, you just mention your qualification. I have 5 years of experience in the same field. In mention your previous or existing company's name. Okay. The qualification and your experience in a very brief way, in a very concise way, in a very proper word, in a proper sentence way. So it is because it is a formal communication. It is a official communication of official documents. You don't allow yourself to write any other words which are not necessarily required in your application letter or cover letter. Okay, you just remember what I just asked to write you people with reference to the above mentioned subject and cited reference. I wish to apply for the post of civil engineer in your reputed institution. Okay, I have completed my BE in civil engineering from Government Engineering College, Karad, with 75% in 2017. I have 5 years of experience in the same field in dot 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 dot, the name of the company. Okay. Then, if you have any other qualities or skills, you should mention there. I'm a computer literate person. You have any other the skills you just mentioned, that Excel, any other the things you work the computer and so on, so things you mentioned there in the point. Okay. Now in the closing point, in a closing paragraph, you close it by hoping, by closing a positive way. In which way? I hope you will consider my application sympathetically. In this way, you complete your application. And then the last one paragraph, or that is the total closing paragraph, in which way you are closing here. Kindly accept the same and do the need. Thank you. Yours faithfully, signature and name, and enclosure should be there. I just forgotten to mention that the one statement, one sentence that you have to write at the end of the paragraph of the third one, that I am or I have enclosed the essential documents or xerox copies of the documents with this cover letter, application letter. It should be there. So in this way, you are writing your application letter cover. There is over. So it is a very simple one. Don't write any other the information. So other information should be included in your CV, in your biodata, in your curriculum vitae. So that is why we, at the very outset, I told you people that don't repeat the information or the element which you are already mentioned in your CV. Okay, this is the cover letter that you are just covering, that you are just giving your introduction. It is not a full-fledged introduction, but you are just giving your introduction in the form of application letter or cover page. So that is why you are going to avoid the repetition. Whatever you mentioned in CV, it should not be repeated in your cover page or application letter. That is why I just told you people that very brief way, that in ideal way, that how how many sentences should be there and how we have to write the application. Okay, I think I hope you might have understood my points regarding writing application letter cover page. Now let us see interview call letters. How to write interview call letters. Now you have to imagine here, whenever you write some new one application types, you have to imagine or you have to go that you are writing there. You are already working on the particular designation or on the particular uh, place. Then only you can write such letters. Otherwise, it would be a sort of difficulties for you people. So whenever you write call letter, you have to imagine that you are a deputy manager or general manager of the company, and you are calling to the particular candidates who have been selected or who are already selected by you. So that is why then only you can write in a very easily call letter. Because the way in which you are involving while writing the particular letter is very important. So call letter, who will be the writer when you are writing the call letter? Only your boss, only the higher authority can write. So that is why you just imagine when you write a call letter that you are a general manager or the head of the recruitment, and it is assigned by for you in that particular designation. So when you imagine that you have that much authority and you have already have that much the power or ability of writing or issuing call letter, only it is easy for you people to write a call letter. Okay, so call letter means what here? The structure method is same. Whatever I just told you people, the sender, receiver, subject, reference, and so on. So all these elements should be there. When you write, it may be call letter, it may be terminate letter, it may be internship letter, whatever it may be. The structure, the points are the same one, but the only thing is that the middle part of the letter should be changed. In according to the need of subject, you are writing your second paragraph or the middle of the letter would be only changed. So here you see that whenever you write call letter, when we on which format we write call letter, we have to write the call letter on the letter pad. Printed letters are there that each and every company uses nowadays. That is called here letterhead. On letterhead, all the essential the address of the required of the elements are already mentioned or printed on letterhead. Not necessary to write once again your company name and so on those things. But now you just mention the authority of person's name and his or her designation. That would be a first one point. And then to whom you are addressing or to whom you are calling, who are already selected in our company by you. So the address should be there. Two, that is the selected candidate's name should be there, and the full address should be there. That is in the second statement. And then now you are writing subject, interview for invitation for interview or regarding uh, uh, call letter, regarding call letter for interview. Okay. So right there, the name of the in salutation, you have to write the name of the applicants or the candidate. Hello, is there any question? If you have any question or any doubt in your mind, it should be cleared at the end of the lecture. After having report writing, we will I will give you a 5 or 10 minutes to discuss regarding your doubts or any cynics. Anyway, so here you see that whenever you write call letter to the particular the candidate, now you just mention here the name of the candidate or the applicant that you mentioned there and begin your letter that you just scrutinize it, the application that already you received from the candidate. So after reading the application letter or cover letter, now you are deciding, you already decided that the particular applicant is suitable for your job because he fulfilled the required qualification for the particular designation, for the particular post. And that is why you are writing or calling him or her for the next one step, that is for interview. So keeping eye on the such elements or statements you are writing there, and you are writing to the point only. Yeah, by having just by looking over to your job application or your application, we would like to invite you to be there for an interview. That should be there. In this way, you are beginning your call letter. In this way, you are beginning your call letter that we would like to invite you to be there for an interview. Okay, and now you mentioned a date, time, and venue of the particular or particular company. So you will have an interview schedule with the department manager. Mention the name of the manager there, where the candidate should be meet, where the candidate should be give an interview or face an interview. So that is why you should mention there, because in company, in MNC company especially, there are number of departments, number of sections, marketing section, sales section, advertising section, recruitment section, the customer care section. Which one section you are going to call? That is very important. That is why the name of the authority or the person who is going to take interview should be mentioned there. So that is why after making clearance of the opening paragraph, now in second paragraph you are writing the name of the authority to whom the candidate is facing an interview. So mention the name, and then the discussion will be last how many times is there for the candidate. So the discussion will be last about 45 minutes with the authority. So please bring the reference as well as a copy of your resume and cover letter along with you. So these the three important elements are also very important, essential, essentially be mentioned. So reference letter, copy of resume, and a cover letter. So should be mentioned in second paragraph so that the candidate will come with the preparation for an interview. Or when you will come to an interview, you will bring these essential documents that required for your company. That is the second one paragraph. And then now you mention whether the candidate is ready, whether the candidate is having the suitable date and place and or not. So that is why you mentioned the last one paragraph. The sentence would be like, if the date and time of the interview should you, then you are requested to please send as a confirmation email at dot dot dot. The email should be given to send this the suitable um, time and date. So that is why that you have to mention there by making the statement like, if the date and time of the interview suit you, then you are requested to please send us a confirmation email at the earliest confirming to your presence for the interview. So this is the last one paragraph. This is the new one idea that nowadays the companies are using in their call letter for an interview. So if the candidate is available, then only they can arrange. Otherwise, they will leave you and call the next one candidate because they wanted to complete their interview schedule. So in this way, you have to write your call letter. And as I told you that if you imagine you have a authority of calling candidates for interview, then only you can write it. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for writing a letter of call or call letter. Okay, then we have to know here a reference letter. No, reference letter is nothing but a recommendation letter of your previous company where you used to work once, but now you are leaving the same company. So that is why you applied a new one company. So whenever you apply for new job or new designation, the particular company requires or asks to you people about a reference letter or a recommendation letter. So
ठीक है भाई जी
in order to judge your personality, the new company requires or needs what reference letter. So reference letter should be a positive one. Then only you will have chances of joining a new company. Otherwise, it would be again difficult difficulties for you people to join a new company. So during the job interviews, some employers will ask you for a letter of recommendation from a previous employer or a previous company from which you have to get reference letter. So that it would introduce directly or indirectly to the company authority what type of personality you have purchased or you have purchased. So if the previous employer give a reference letter in a positive way, that would be a better for you people. And if any other negative remark is, is mentioned, negatively mentioned in your reference letter, you won't get any type of opportunity to serve in a new company or you in a desired company that you are going to apply. Okay, so in this way, we have to see here the format of we have to see here reference how to write reference letter again. As usual, you know that letterhead is there, the previous employer is there, and the authority's name and so on, so things we already mentioned in a letterhead, or it should be a changed one. But sender information means sender's address should be there as usual by writing to. That is a sender's address there, and date is also very important. Then receiver's information as usual that you are a candidate, so your address should be there. And then you mention that dear to whom you are addressing, dear Mr. Messrs. Whatever it may be. And but how to begin? Again, writing reference letter. It is my pleasure to recommend Look at here how you are beginning your reference letter, because you are giving reference letter the person, the candidate who have already been uh, worked with you or already been you well acquainted with the candidate, but now he would like to leave his previous job. So that is why you have to mention, you have to begin your first paragraph that you know him, you are already well acquainted with the person, and that's why you are writing in which way. It is my pleasure to recommend Mr. X for the position of marketing manager or any other designation that you mentioned there, or in your company. Mr. X and I worked, or I well acquainted with Mr. X since the last 5 years, or since the 2018-19, in this way you just mentioned here, so that the new one employer would recognize, would identify what type of personality is there of you people. So Mr. X mentioned to me that this prospective role at your company would involve leading initiatives aimed at growing prospects list. He is remarkably well suited for the particular task or particular designation. In this way, you just mentioned, because you already, the candidate is already told you in which way, in which designation he is going to work there, and so on and so. That is why you clearly mentioned that the designation is very suitable for the particular candidate. In this way, you are mentioning here. So Mr. X, the campaign and no, just you mentioned his positive things or positive elements instead of any negative remark. So once again, at the closing paragraph, you mention that you should mention, I recommend Mr. X without doubts to your company. He would be a stellar addition to our company. Please do not hesitate to reach out with any query, with any question, with any doubt. So if the particular authority would like to call you, you should mention your call, I mean phone number, your email, or any other contact uh, that you have purchased in your company. So clearly mention there your phone number, your email, your another any contact mode. So you can reach me at this email address or contact number. You will give in this way and close your sincerely, again sign and stamp of your uh, designation. Okay. So these are the very important letters that we just studied here by having some important points, or in a brief way we have had such structure we just seen. Now let us see, after application letter, reference letter, now we have to know appointment letter. No, the candidate is already applied, he has been called for interview, and now he is already selected. Now you are going to give him, or you are going to appoint him for a regular member in our company. So in which way you have to write here, or how to write appointment letter. Okay. So an appointment letter is an official communication. It is a legal communication, it is an official communication, it is a formal communication that are going to do with the new employee, because he is recently selected by your authority or by you, and now you are handling it. Now you are giving a letter of appointment to the person. So letter of appointment should be included some elements that it may be include the probationary period, leave policies, notice period clauses, working hours, work nature, and other some important elements you like to mention in your appointment letter. So these the element should be there. At least these elements should be there, which are salary, probation period, leave policy, notice period, and so on. Again, as usual, you may use your letterhead because it is a legal document. It should be written in a letter pad or letterhead. A mention of the candidate for in your company. So name, address, and salutation should be there. Then subject, appointment letter. It is to the concise way you have to mention their appointment letter. Then you begin by writing in this way. We refer to your recent interview for the above mentioned position or designation and are pleased to inform you that we are going to offer you the position with our company with effect from dot dot dot. That is the letter date should be there under the following terms and conditions. You know, each and every company uh, have its own um, terms and conditions that if you fulfill, if you are ready to bound with these terms and conditions, they can appoint you. Otherwise, they cannot. So, but in order to prove, in order to make their appointment letter as a legal document, they already mention some terms and conditions. So when you write appointment letter, you also remember, you also uh, in the light of terms and condition, you have to write your appointment letter. You have to give appointment letter in this way. So first of all, the salary mention in a clear way that the monthly salary and so on so things. The salary offered to the candidate, whatever it may be. Maybe annual package, maybe monthly or regular uh, payment or whatever it may be. But you mention there, it may be contract basis, it may be a regular basis, whatever it may be. Then how many years or how many months that you require to appoint candidate on a probationary period. So you know the probationary period in which the candidate is judged or justified whether he is able to serve in your company or not. So that is why always or often we see that a probationary period is given by the particular company. So mention how many months or how many years you would like to give or period for the candidate. So probationary period should be there. Then working hours, it may be 8 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours, or 12 hours. It should be clearly mentioned in appointment letter. Then leave policy, how many leaves are there or granted in a year, in a month, in a week, whatever it may be, it should be clear in a detailed way. Sick leave may be there, earned leave may be there, medical leave may be there, casual leave may be there, duty leave may be there, on duty leave may be there. So these are the types or kinds of leaves that you have to mention in a clear way in an appointment letter. Then notice period or clause. Suppose the candidate is newly appointed and he works he has been working as per the your call letter, but after a few months or few years, if he would like to leave once again your company, uh, he or she has to give a notice period. It may be in both sides, but notice period should be given there. If the employee decides to leave the company, he should needs to serve the notice period as per the stated by the present company. So you mention there, if the candidate is leaving to you, he or she should be give notice period for you, so that you can decide whether you are leaving or giving permission or not. So and so things should be. And then you close as usual. Here it is not necessary to say thank you or so and so because it is a legal document, it is an official document, it is a formal one, and need not be mentioned or close the thank you or so on so or name of the any yours faithfully, yours sincerely is not necessary to write in appointment letter. Direct, you are mentioning, you are writing, you are making your signature and writing your name. Okay. And now we will see here confirmation letter. It is also one new one type of letter. Confirmation letter is also a new one type of letter. It should be written after the probation period. After completing the probation period, the confirmation letter is issued by the authority or by the company. Because as I told you people that they judge, they justify your work nature, your behavior, your personality, and so on. So if they like, if your probation period is a satisfactory one, then only the particular authority or company issue or give you confirmation letter. Otherwise, they would not allow you to work their company. They would retrench you uh, from their company. So after completion of your probationary period, the one may receive a confirmation letter. So confirmation letter is again a very important letter that one has to know how to write confirmation letter. Again, you should mention a sender's address, receiver's address, and salutation is also again there. Subject is also there. Subject in which way you are mentioning. I'm not going to repeat one again and again. The structure of the letter. All the structure of the letters are a similar one, but the only the change is in the second or middle part of the letter. Important. So you begin your confirmation letter by writing, we reference to the review of your performance, or we having a review of your performance, we decide to appoint you on regular basis or appoint you on a permanent basis. In this way, you begin your letter. Not necessary to follow the words which are usually in your book or any other format. But if you feel that some words should be changed as per my knowledge, then you can change. But it should be official one, it should be a regular one, legal one, and it should be a formal one instead of an informal one. So you write there that after making scrutiny, after observing or after observation of your probational period, now we are eager to appoint you on a regular basis, on a permanent basis. In this way, you begin your letter of confirmation. So we are pleased to inform you that your employment is being confirmed. At the beginning of the statement, now you write there that we are pleased to write or inform you that your employment is being confirmed with effect from whatever it may be, mention the date and so on and so on. So the terms and conditions of previous appointment letter will be remain unchanged, or it will be remained until your retirement. In this way, you just mentioned. So there is no any the changes occur in terms and conditions that you have had already mentioned in your appointment letter. So now it is a confirmation letter. The slight changes there. The terms and conditions are of previous appointment letter will be remain unchanged. We look forward to you in the company and wish you luck for fruitful career in our company or in the company. Again, it is over. Please sign there. Please sign the duplicate copy of this letter as token of acceptance. Just like a OC that they need, that they require from you. So having mentioned these statements, you are completing here. So it should be a complete one. So in this way, you have a number of types or kinds of letters. That the promotion letter is there, retrenchment letter is there, leave letter is there, resign letter is there. So the only thing is that I think now you might have come across the structure, the method is the same, but the only thing that we have to change according to the need of subject is that the middle part of the letter. Nothing else. According to the subject, you have to begin your letter and close your letter, but according to the subject, you have to change your middle part of the letter. That is important in each and every letter writing. Okay, so if there is a suppose retrenchment letter is there, retrenchment letter is there, means that you are forcefully leaving the candidates or leaving the employees from your company. When you write a retrenchment letter, you have to show your regret. You have to show your regret that I regret to inform you that you are being retrenched from our company due to the reason. It may be recession, it may be unemployed, maybe a poor financial condition of a company, whatever it may be. But whenever you write a retrenchment letter, you have to regret yourself and mention some reasons by which you are retrenching the employees. And say to sorry at the end of the letter because it is your mistake, or sometimes maybe the employee's mistake. You are retrenching them, that you are forcing them to leave your job, whatever it may be. But retrenchment letter is a sort of new one letter for you people, because the reasons should be the reasons are mentioned in a very clear way why you are retrenching away and so on and so forth. Okay. Then again, resignation letter. Resignation letter is also there to mention. Suppose if you get a new one appointment from new company, you would like to leave the existing or the old one company. You mentioned there that why you are leaving the existing company. Clearly, give reasons and you leave the company. It is also to the point later types of letter. In this way, you mentioned first of all why you are leaving. That recently I am selected on you mentioned the designation, and for this reason I am leaving your company and so on. So things should mention there and complete resignation later. So okay, these are the some types or kinds that we just seen, we just studied brief way. Now we will turn to report writing. You know, unlike letter writing, report writing is also a formal one, legal one, document that we have to possess the skills of writing reports. Because nowadays, you know, in business, it may be in personal, it may be in professional way, we have to keep our information update. Okay, we have to give the updated information to the authority. If you are working in an MNC company or if you are working as a high level authority, and if you are asked to write a report on daily progress, that is we call here progress report or development letter, development report. It may be a newspaper level report, it may be internal one, it may be external one. So there are several kinds of types of report writing. We have to write, we have to possess skills of writing later. Suppose if you are working on a quality control, as a quality controller, you have to submit your quality control report to the authority. Suppose you are working in a production level as a production manager, and you feel that your company is nowadays failing to get the target of the production, you have to write or you have to submit a fallen production report. If it is a progress, then you have to write a progress report. It may be in this way you have different reasons. We have different purposes. Again, just like letter writing, but we have to know how to write reports. Okay, because in Delhi we have even if you observe a newspaper report is different from um, a business report. In newspaper report, most of the times we see the accidental or incidental reports are there. But in companies or in a business level, we have to update ourselves whatever is being happened in our company. So, but report writing is important. That one has to possess some skills. One has to write reports. Okay, there are some the definition and the types are given already in our book, but I'm not going to attach or I'm going to give you a detailed information or detailed definition regarding what is meant by report and so on and so. But let us see some features or characteristics of reports, how to write reports, on how your report should be completed. Which one, what are the elements that we have to include or mention in our report. Okay, the first one point is that it should be a concise one. It should be, the document should be a concise one. Get to the point. Once again, we have to write your report. It is a short, clear, and concise document. It is a systematic and well structured. Structure should be there. It may be a letter, it may be a report. Structure should be there. It must provide factual information. Fact should be there. It has a particular purpose. Each and every report should possess a purpose, a goal, why you are writing your report. What type of goal you would like to achieve by writing a report. Okay. It is written for specific audience. Specific audience are there. The tone is always formal. The information presented should be a bias-free one. It should not be biased. Your report should not be biased on any reason or on any kind of reports. It generally analyzes a situation or problem. Generally analyzes situation or problem. That is why we write a report. If there is something sort of a negative thing happen in our company or in any other section of your company, then only the authority always demand or ask for you people to submit your report in a writing way. So such type of statement, such type of order we receive from our authority. Okay, so it generally analyzes the situation or a problem, offers recommendations for future actions. So not writing in a one way. Okay, because some sort of solution should be there. Your report should be included resolution or solutions. So that is why we have two parts. The first one part is observation part, in which you are observing why happened, what type of incident was responsible for the fall in production, or the negative remark that there is. So the first one part should be devoted on observations or observation, and the second part in second part of report you have a mention solution or resolution. In order to avoid such type of mistake once again in a company, you have to give some satisfactory ways, ideas to protect from such negative remarks or so on so things should be. So these are the some important characteristics that we just see. And now we will see, instead of going in a detailed way once again, I would like to jump how to write only reports. That is very important as far as this city is concerned. So, I would like to give one good example of how to write or how to write uh, uh, report. In fact, there are some types of reports are also there. Maybe internal, it may be external reports, informational or informative, analytical reports, informal and formal reports, short or long reports, proposal report, vertical and lateral, periodic reports, functional reports. So these are the types of reports. Okay. But is now in today's session, I would like to now know one specimen copy of writing a report. Someone is there who is whispering. Okay. Hello. Someone is there who is please mute your speaker. Hello. Hello. Anyway, just I mentioned you people are declared that there are two parts of report. The first one part is observation, and second part is resolution or solution. So you have that much authority. Just remember, you just imagine that you are a production manager working in an MNC company. You are a production manager, and your company, your authority, I mean the general manager asked you to write a report on uh, for production, and that production is already declined comparatively or compared to the last uh, years uh, comparatively last year's or last month's production. So if you compare the production of last month's production to the this one month, you feel you realize that the production is already declined. So your boss asked from you people to write a report on fall in production. So it is now your duty that you have to write by mentioning, or first of all by observing the reasons, and then you have to mention some sort of resolutions or solution in the second part of your report. So what is the question? Write a report on fall in production in your reputed company. The company, whatever the companies, no matter which one type of production you are producing or your company is producing. It may be a sugarcane company, it may be a fabric company, it may be a electronic company, whatever it may be, but the production is declined compared to the last 1 month. So as usual, you have to use a letterpad or letterhead, then mention the sender's address, then mention address is also already there, a receiver's address, and then a subject, and the reference should be there. Okay, so you have to mention here once again sender report on fallen production. In this way, you are mentioning there report on fall in production. Then reference, you have any reference, if you have received any letter, you have to mention there whatever the reference number is there, your report writing reference dot in this way you mentioned there, and then you use the salutation, respected sir, and then first paragraph you write. It is a fall in production is not a good one. It is not a positive one result. It is a negative result. So you have to begin your letter, begin your report in a negative way, because you have to clearly mention there at the very outset of your report that I regret to say, I regret to mention you that our company uh, has not been, the company has not been requiredly producing uh, uh, the product, whatever it may be, the product name should be there, or the name should be mentioned there. Uh, so that is why you regretted. So I regret to write, or I regret to submit my report on fall in production. I have certain observations, or I have certain impression regarding fall in production in our company compared to the last month. The following reasons are responsible for uh, falling production in our company. In this way, you begin your report, because you already observed whatever the reasons are there. You already observed, and now you are writing there. So the first one, the reason should be in which way you just imagine that why or what are the reasons that they are they responsible for falling production. So that is a degrees in your production. The first one reason may be you just imagine it may be a month of May. There is a shortage of electricity, maybe, huh? So you mentioned there that the first in first point there was a shortage of or irregular electricity supply and water supply. Generally, we people know that in a summer season we don't have that much or required the water supply or the electric supply is always uh, supplied in a irregular way because of several reasons are there. It may be a shortage of water and so on. So in our company, the first one reason should be there for falling in production, and you are mentioning that in the last month there was a irregular water and electricity supply. That would be a first one reason. Then you just observe that there were some employees, there were some workers who uses go slow tactics in your company or in a particular section. That is also that may be a responsible reason for falling production. Okay, so you mentioned there were some workers who used to work go slow tactics, not in a detailed way. Who are they? Who were they? How they worked? How they used the go slow tactics, and so on. So things would not be necessary to mention in a detailed way. But you just observed and you felt that this is also the important reason for falling production. So mention in that way. Okay. Then there was rough material supply, rough material shortage that you found in the last month. That was also important reason. So if when there is no any rough material that you required in last month, but you couldn't get it in time, so that is why you felt that that was also one of the important reasons. So irregularity in rough material supply. So in third reason should mention irregularity of, or there was no supply of rough material. Whatever it may be, you just mentioned in this way. That is the third one point. Then maybe there was a strike in the last month for a few days in order to meet or in order to uh, fulfill the demand of workers or the demand of the workers. Workers were on strike. That was the possible reason. That was also one of the important reasons, and that was why in the last month we had fall in production. So you mentioned in that way, in the last month, the workers' strike was also responsible for falling in production. That is also important. So in this way, you just observe whatever the reasons are there. You just observe first of all, and then mention one by one in your first part in report. As I told you people that report is already divided into two parts. The first one is observation and second one is resolution or solution. So by mentioning the possible reasons, now you are giving solution to your authority. So whatever you mentioned in first part, you go in a reverse way. For example, they mentioned in second part resolution or solution. The first one solution would be in order to overcome on irregularity of water supply and irregularity of electricity supply, we have to use new genset or a generator set. We have to install, we have to purchase new generation set so that during the time of irregularity of electricity, we can we can produce electricity. So that would be a first one solution. Or we have to stock water if in a summer season such problems arise recurringly. We have to stop or we have to dig one a new or we have to build a new tank for using water in summer season. In this way, we can resolve the irregularity of water supply, irregularity of electric supply. This is the possible what resolution or solution. Okay, this is the first one point. In second point, what time to time we have to fulfill the demand of workers. That was why in the last month there was a strike. If we had been given the attention to the demand of the worker, it would have not been uh, uh, strike or the worker would have not been went on strike in the last month. So that is also important solution that you mentioned that time to time we have to give our attention or company should authority should give the attention to the demand of the worker. That is the second reason. Whatever you have had mentioned in the first observation, you go in a reverse way so that you can have a resolution and have solution. Then you can overcome on such fall in production in your company. Okay, the company should build a new storage system so that you can store the ample rough material whenever there is a recession, whenever there is a shortage of a rough material, you should use from your storerooms so that you can overcome on shortage for some period. So that is a possible resolution. So in this way, you mention the possible and to the point resolutions in your report. And in the last, the conclusion part, you should mention that if the above mentioned resolutions or solutions are applied immediately, the company or we would definitely improve our foreign production. End of the report. So it is an easy one to write a report writing. So that, but it depends. It definitely differ from a newspaper writing. Definitely differ from a newspaper writing. So there are a number of the types of letter writing that I just mentioned. You standing committee report is there, a progress report is there. So to the according to the subject, once again you have to change your the matter of, but the two sections are there. That is observation and reservation. Okay, so we don't have that much time to go in a detailed way by having each and every one types or kinds of report writing. That is why I just I have just given you ideal writing method of writing reports, how to write here. But according to the need, according to the subject, you just go ahead, you just change your matter in sections. Maybe first and it may be section one. So as per the rules, whatever I just discussed with you people, it should be a factual one, it should be strictly structured, it should be clear one, it should be a concise one. Okay, in this way, whatever we have had discussed, you just go ahead with this discussion. Okay. I think I would like to stop today's session with these few words regarding writing letters and report writing. And now is open for you people for discussion for few minutes. If you have any doubts or anything regarding the today's session, we will discuss. Okay, Abhijit is there, Arpita, Akhilesh, Priya, Rakesh, Rohit, Tulsi, Supriya, Priyanka, these are the only our best students. Hello, hello.
हा सर काही डाऊट नाही.
हाँ सर बोला.
If you have any doubt regarding today's session regarding writing letters and report writing, just the discussion with you and raise question regarding one more thing that I have to mention here, that have you observed the question paper nature in which you have 5 questions, each one question uh, has 20 marks, I think so. Each one question possesses 20 marks. Okay. Hello.
Yes sir. Yes.
If you have don't any cynical question or any question, I would like to stop today's session. Shall I stop session?
Yes sir.
Hello. Then tomorrow we will meet.
काही डाऊट नाहीये.
ओके डाऊट नसेल तर ठीक आहे, चांगली गोष्ट आहे. मी टू दी पॉइंट तुम्हाला समजवण्याचा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे, शिकवण्याचा प्रयत्न केलेला आहे, कारण आपल्याकडे एवढं वेळ पण नाही आहे की खूपच डिटेल्ड वे आपल्याला शिकवायला पाहिजे होतं. ऍक्च्युली इट शुड हॅव बीन टॉट इन अ डिटेल्ड वे अँड क्लिअर वे, बट that is time. So in tomorrow's session, we will have a new one unit, that is oral communication. Then after we will complete non-verbal communication or electronic emails and so on. So it will be considered or completed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.